This episode of the Royal Insider is brought to you by Covenant Health. Covenant Health, the official sports medicine partner of Johnson University Athletics. Welcome to the Royal Insider. I am your host and the athletic director at Johnson University, Brandon Perry. I am joined, as always, by our sports information director, Addison Lafayette, and we got to come up with your actual title. We can't operations engagement, fan engagement, and operations coordinator, Logan Galbraith. I can never get that title out of my mouth whenever I go to say it.
Let's just start calling him Hannah Montana. He's the best of both worlds.
Oh, Hannah Montana.
Hey, Hannah.
I like that. If I knew a Hannah Montana song right now, I would definitely break out.
You get the best of both worlds.
Wow. You popped right into that like you would not believe. I am very shocked. We are putting this on live as is this time.
This will go
The best of both worlds.
All right, that's good. I'm good with that now.
I don't know if I want to be called Hannah Montana from now on, but
Yeah.
I think I have to after that performance.
Well, it
you know?
seems like that's what's correct and what's right. So I don't have to come up with anything witty now to say at the very beginning to lighten the mood. We have our stuff for sure.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, today's show, we are excited about it because we have Mark Nelson coming on the show. So Mark is basically the person I call pastor, which seems weird. It's not really. He's not the pastor of my church, but he has been someone who has mattered a lot to me over the years. He founded a church called Crossings Faith Community, which we have some people coming in. So. Well, I think we're back to normal in here. That was a little sidetracked interruption as the Johnson Insider came in. They were doing a live video with us today. Just a little side note, we ended up having the Royal Insider, and then it's Inside Johnson, right? Is the name. I said that wrong. We have all of this inside language totally by accident. It was not a branding choice that we made, but it ended up kind of happening that way, and I guess that works, right? Is that good marketing, Addison?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, it makes it hard to forget because
It
you
is.
try to Google one and then all three of them.
They all pop up at this point,
yeah.
so it kind of works out. But oh well. Well, it's already been an interesting start. Hannah Montana showed up earlier, and then two of them, one name by name and one by sound, right? One of the singing.
Yeah.
But what I was doing before we had the interruption with the video team today was let me introduce Mark Nelson. Mark is or was the founding pastor at Crossings Faith Community, where I attended church for, I guess I met Mark in 2013. And really, Mark has had a huge impact on my life and specifically on our athletic departments, as a lot of the concepts and ideas that we implemented here and what we were about from a formation point of view and discipleship point of view came from concepts that I learned under Mark. And he's got a great new book out alongside of Dr. Heather Gorman called Lunchroom Theology. I'd love for you guys to check that out. But today Mark's going to come on, not Heather. We are definitely leaving Heather out. She moved to Texas. I do not have the budget to pay for someone to come in from Texas to make that work, right? I don't think, unless Addison is hiding some money somewhere that I don't know about.
No,
No.
I wish.
No.
I'd love to go to Texas, though.
Would you?
Been.
I don't think,
Don't
probably not
shoot down my
Abilene.
dreams yet.
North Texas is probably not the place you want to be. Maybe San Antonio or
I don't know.
Austin or something. I don't know.
Or Dallas.
I don't know. I've really
Don't we have a
not been there.
friend in Dallas?
Maybe. I
Maybe.
think so.
There's
River.
probably
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah,
people
we
in
do.
Dallas. Anyways, we're back to being sidetracked. We're coming back here right now, and but today's guest, Mark Nelson, talking about sport and faith integration and what that could look like and has looked like here at Johnson. And we will be right back in just a few seconds to talk about the things that have happened this past week for the Johnson Royals. See you back here in just a second.
What does strength in numbers mean to you? At Covenant Health, it means we see nearly 2.2 million visits annually. It means our 13,000 dedicated experts are all working together for a common goal. With over 150 locations throughout East Tennessee, you'll always find an open door to care, because we are committed to being the first, best, and strongest choice for the one number who matters most. You. Covenant Health. Let our strength be yours.
We're back on the Royal Insider, and as we proceed, first, let me just go ahead and acknowledge the weirdness that is how this pod is kind of taking shape. I did not go and just change shirts randomly. It's going to happen a couple times during this pod, apparently, because we had to split this one up between 2 days, and my wonderful wife put my shirt in the washer, so I couldn't really put it back on today. So, yeah, sorry to spoil ruin the bubble.
He's also plugging our new merch.
Yeah,
I think.
are.
Really.
You are.
I am.
Yeah.
That is true. We do have some new merch here at the Royal Sports Store. So definitely, if you're at a game, check that out. But no, it's just we got busy.
We did. We got really big.
And we had to divide it up between 2 days. So normally we try to do it all at once, but here we are.
Yeah.
Anyways, in this segment, we are going to take a look at what happened in the past week with Royals athletics. And Addison, tell us about our first game.
All right. So first we had women's soccer play. They actually played a makeup game on Monday against Bluefield. So making that up from earlier in the season where they took home the win. Good win to have, especially for an away game. They won 3-0 there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, actually last night, so Wednesday night, they played away. They played Bryan and had another great game. Aubrey Felice actually had a really great game.
Yep.
Winning at 4-0. So I don't know if you have a little more details.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go back to the Bluefield game. I think first, one weird side note, this game was played, I think the first half. Mm-hmm. The entire first half they got in. We're at Bluefield. A downpour comes at that point. Soccer has a strange rule, which I did not really know this, but this is just a side thing. If they go into a rain delay, they can only wait I believe it's 3 hours. And then they have to postpone the game after the 3 hour period. However, there was a game right after that in our men's soccer team who was able to play that night, which is so strange. And they got the whole game in. So our women had to go back and play one half of a Bluefield game that got postponed by rain. They were up 1-0 at the half, put in 2 more goals in the second half to be able to take home the win. It was great for our girls. They definitely were in a spot where they needed a win, and were able to get that home. Amy Johnson puts in 1 goal, and then Aubrey Felice, 2 goals against Bluefield as well. So big night for the Royals.
Yeah, they were actually able to carry that momentum over into their next away match, which was last night for us. They won 4-0 against Bryan.
Yeah, so anytime we can go over to Bryan College and get a win, it's a big deal. Aubrey Felice, adding to what has been a pretty good year for her, for sure. 3 goals in this one, which is just amazing. Brianna Hauser also adding 1 as well, but Aubrey Felice has to be up for,
I think,
AAC Offensive Player of the Week, I would imagine.
Has to, yeah. And I think Todd actually said that she just cracked or is about to crack top 10 in goals scored for the conference. So she's pretty close if not already in there.
Yeah, so it's pretty incredible for, I believe, a freshman. Am I not?
Yeah,
Is that right?
freshman.
Yeah, a true freshman here at Johnson. Probably, as we're getting close to the end of the season, may even be up for Freshman of the Year. So that's an exciting thing to watch for her. Maybe need to get her on the show here.
We might need to. That might be a
there
good
you
idea.
go. Yep. All right, Addison, what do we got next?
All right, next, going off of women's soccer, our men's soccer also played 1 game last night against Bryan, and it ended in a tie.
Yeah, a tough one for the Royals. I don't know. I'm a basketball coach, so these ties, man, they get me. Yeah. They get me for sure deep down in my soul. I just do not understand them. But Felipe Evans scores our only goal, and I think that if Coach Morris was here, he would tell you, man, that's one that we wish we had back. Mm-hmm. So walking away with the tie is not the result that they were hoping for. As again, they continue to play pretty well, but I've had just a hard time scoring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so good night because there's not a loss.
Yeah.
Tough night because there's not a win. And that's kind of where we're at.
And that's why those ties are brutal for me too. Come from the baseball world as just a sports fan in general. I want to see an outcome. I want to see a winner in a game. The ties, not a fan of the ties, but better than a loss, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So men's soccer sitting right now at 3-7-2 on the year. Our women's soccer team, let me pull it up here, sitting at 4-8-1. Both of them right at the edge as far as the playoffs are concerned for the AAC, and hopefully they're going to have a good little push here at the end to get them over that hump.
Yeah.
All right, Addison, what else you got here?
Okay, so our volleyball team had a big weekend this weekend, had 4 games total, which was a lot.
That's all. I think we say that every week. Well, volleyball's got a lot of games this week.
They do, but they actually played against Montreat, was their first game, and they swept them. It was a pretty good game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. A great game for our girls. Ended up taking that one 3-0. Made for a pretty quick match, which is good. Abby Brown doing Abby Brown things with 14 kills in that one. And Marissa again, 11 digs. I mean, that's the story of how this season has gone for the most part with those two. Kaylin Marshall, 16 assists. Hannah Lukey with 12. Good night for the Royals. They continue to add on to what's been a really good season. And with that, in that game, we discovered, I can't remember if it happened in that game or if we announced it in that game. Now the days are all running together, but Abby Brown gets her 1,000th career kill across both schools. She come from Cleveland State. And then here, combining those stats, she ends up with 1,000 kills. But Marissa McMahon, 2,000 digs.
Yeah, that's
pretty impressive.
Crazy.
Really impressive.
I know. I saw that and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, Abby's 1,000 kills was a lot, but 2,000 digs and that was insane to me. Yeah,
it's man, she's had a great career. She's been here. It seems like forever at this point. It's really funny when kids come in and they play right off the bat. How it feels like, are they ever going to leave? But she's been here a while and has had a tremendous career for us. And that's going to be one that's going to be sad to see go because she has been so good. And they're all sad to see go. Let's be straight about that. But when they get 2,000 digs, it's a little bit sadder.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You're not only losing the player, you're losing the 2,000 digs.
That's it. So. That's it. Yep. Well, and how do you replace that?
Yeah.
That's tough. I was very fortunate to have. I had on one team. I had our all-time leading scorer, our second all-time leading scorer, and our 9th all-time leading scorer, all on one team, and all of them. I'm like, how am I going to get these points back?
Yep. So they hurt. They hurt a little bit more when they leave.
It hurts. So it was pretty tough, but we move on.
Yeah.
So. Yes. And we did. We moved into Saturday when we hosted another tri-match. Our first game was against Sherwood McConnell, and then the last game of that day was against Bob Jones. If you want to talk a little bit about those, they were definitely some great games.
Yeah, it is more of the same story. 3-0, we come out, get another AAC team, and able to sweep that one as well, 3-0, which was great. Again, Abby with 15 kills in that game. again, Marissa, 14 digs in that game. But that one was more of a team effort. Marissa gets 14, but we have 53 digs total in that game. So a little bit more spread out than what we have seen in some of the other games. Micaiah Greenlee also added 9 kills in that game. It's weird calling her Micaiah. I think everybody calls her Mac here. Yeah. So Mac gets 9 kills as a freshman. Is putting together a pretty good season for her as well. So huge day taking that one, and then we move right into Bob Jones, and this is an interesting game to me as an AD for sure. We end up taking that one 3-1. Bob Jones is the NCCA school, and for us, those were battles, back in the day. As a matter of fact, our last volleyball match in the NCCAA was for the national title against Bob Jones, and we ended up losing to them and finishing second in the country that year. So a lot of history there for sure. And now to move to this stage and to be able to take that one 3-1 was a big deal, real big deal. So again, I won't go into many stats in that one, but it was definitely a similar story. Abby Brown, again, 18 kills. Lucy Morris added 14 on top of that. So that was a big day. Marissa got back. She only had 14 in that first one, but 26 against Bob Jones. So that changed things a little bit more.
Yeah, and I just want to say, sitting right there by the court, whenever Abby hits the ball, I mean, she
smoked.
I would be terrified.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
We've got several girls who hit it pretty hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just
Micaiah,
her.
Isabel, all of them.
Yeah. They do.
So it's impressive to watch for sure. I would not want to be playing against them.
Yeah. So the last game, Addison?
So the last game of that week was the Union game.
Yep.
Union Commonwealth, and I believe we swept them as well.
Yep, 3-0 in that one. And again, some of the stats in that one was a little bit more balanced game. We had 38 kills in that. Abby with 11, Lucy Morris 7, Mac with 5. Hannah Lukey actually had 5 in that game, which that seems like a typo. I don't know if that's right or not. But we didn't do the stats. Somebody else did the stats, right?
So can't blame us for that.
That's right. Hannah Lukey with 15 assists. Kaylin Marshall, 18 assists in that game. And then again, pretty balanced as far as digs are concerned. But a really great week when you stop and think about that. So that's four games, right? And we drop one set of the 4. So volleyball team continues to have a fantastic season. They now are sitting at 20-5 on the season. A really good record, 8-2 in the conference. We're in third place, sitting just behind CIU, who is 9-1, and Reinhardt, who is 10-0. So that is coming down to what seems like a great season. Actually, technically, I guess we are tied for third with Tennessee Wesleyan, who I believe holds the tiebreaker now.
They do.
So that's one of our 2 losses was the Tennessee Wesleyan. So they're sitting at 16-6. We are at 20-5.
Yeah.
But still, great deal. Another big note is Coach Robin Vanoy picks up her 200th win here at Johnson on her career. When you can rattle off 20-win seasons, you can get to that number pretty quick. So she continues to have put together good team after good team. And this is another great one for sure.
Yeah, and I just want to make a quick note too. I believe Abby Brown leads the conference right now in kills per set too. So she's up there. I'm not sure where Marissa's at, but I saw from NAI Volley Report, they put out something with key stats to watch. And they had us tied for third with Tennessee Wesleyan. And then they had Abby Brown leading the conference in kills per set. So
all right. Yeah, we can actually confirm that during the break and pull that up here. Well, we'll do the break, our interview with Mark Nelson, and then when we come back in the next segment, I'll be wearing this same shirt and not the other, not another outfit.
Maybe we'll
change.
try. Maybe we'll put another one of our new shirts on. And then,
Maybe that should be a thing. It's like I just have these random outfit changes throughout the podcast.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah. I have to get a little more sequence in my life in order to do that. Right?
Advertise all of our merch too.
It'd be really, really nice. So we have to think through that. You got to do whatever we can do to get the fans, right? Get people to come out and watch. And I'm not sure that that's going to get anyone.
Hey, you never know. Maybe some more blooper reels.
Maybe. So, well, that's it for what has happened this week with the Royals. We will be right back with an interview with Mark Nelson.
Everywhere you look, you can find unexpected things that make you smile. Little reminders to care for your heart. At Covenant Health, we bring more heart to more places. That means more locations, advanced treatments, and expert physicians. Because we know your heart beats for more than just you. It beats for the people, moments, and dreams that matter most. More heart in more places for you. Covenant Health. Let our strength be yours.
Well, we are back, and we are joined right now with Mark Nelson. Mark, thanks for being here.
Sure. It's great to be here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, I want to first and foremost, let me dive into why we're doing this. I don't think you and I have talked about this.
Nope.
I actually thought about this podcast. Gosh, it's probably been 2 years that we've been thinking about doing this. Obviously, it took us a long time to get it up and going. But the very first idea was to have you on the show. And that was the very first concept.
It took a long time.
It took a minute. It took a minute to get there organically, but we're here. But the reason we did it is because I think my time with you and our lives intersecting shaped so much of what our athletic department is now. Obviously I came from a ministry background, and then I end up at Crossings, where the church that you launched, and we worked together for over a year, but even longer than that. Overall, and so many of our conversations have shaped that, and that's really what we want to talk about today. Is this how faith and athletics really aren't two separate things? They're not fighting concepts in any way, shape, or form, but are kind of united. So I think as we get going, just to kind of help paint a picture, can you give us a little bit of your background and how you got to Knoxville and your time at Johnson? Just paint us a short story here for our viewers.
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in Indiana, and so grew up in the church, literally grew up in the church. 3 months old, I'm baby Jesus, and mom and dad are Joseph and Mary, which is really hard because once you've played baby Jesus, what are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do
Play
now?
shepherd?
Right.
No. Lord of Lords and nothing else.
Yeah.
So I grew up in the church, went to Johnson out of high school, and graduated here in 1987. And so I went into youth ministry, Farragut, actually West Knoxville, Farragut Christian Church for 6.5 years. Went back to Indiana, Purdue Christian Campus House, did campus ministry for a decade.
Yeah.
As an IU fan, so I had to be in the closet for this decade. And then came back to Knoxville and ended up planning a church called Crossings, which launched in 2007.
Yep.
So that's what you made reference to. And then did that for 15 years. And then, see if I can explain this. Then somewhere in the midst of that, Johnson received a grant from Eli Lilly to kind of create something that worked with area churches. So I was asked to run that. So I transitioned out of Crossings and I've been doing that for 5 years now here at Johnson.
Wow.
It's called Three Rivers Collaborative.
Right.
And so, married to Dr. Monica Nelson, who's a nursing professor, pre-nursing professor here.
Launched the program here
did,
a couple years ago, which has been amazing.
Yeah, that's actually over 5 years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's been 5 years, but yeah.
3 kids. One's an architect in New York, one's a musician here in Knoxville, and my daughter's in Miami, finishing up her PhD.
Yeah.
I can show you pictures of my grandkid. Well, wait on that. Okay.
Well,
2 grandkids.
Yeah, we're not sure if our audience is watching video or audio. So pictures are kind of a hard thing to do.
Well, they're beautiful. So
yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. So obviously our lives intersected in 2013. And when me and my wife moved to Knoxville, and for our viewers, I struggled trying to figure out like what is next. I had been a youth pastor, had all these Milligan ties, and I moved to Knoxville where Johnson is. Luckily, one of my closest friends, Caleb Gilmore, was on your staff at that point, and that's how we met, was through Caleb, who immediately moved to Cincinnati after we moved to
I don't know
Knoxville.
how connected that is to you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
I felt very shunned at the time. But really, that journey started some conversations, and they were things, I think, for me that I had been thinking about for a long time, that you really gave words to and a voice to, specifically this connection to Forge and the program that you were running at that point. Can you talk to us a little bit about what Forge is, and just kind of, again, we're trying to set up a background a little bit here, and the idea of neighboring and community and how that fits with you.
Yeah, basically Forge and just this whole line of missional thinking in this missional world is this whole idea that if I ask you to make a list of the characteristics of God, everybody would do it, and they come up with similar ones. He's gracious and sovereign and loving and all that, merciful. But nobody ever uses the word sending when you do that. And God is a sending God. All throughout the Scripture, you can see that, and there's all these studies of, oh my gosh, all the way through, God is sending people. But our idea of Christianity so often is just to come and consume. And so one of the things at Crossings we said is we didn't want to be a faith community, a church where people would come to consume, but come to be consumed. That was one of our dreams. But the whole idea was, no, we're not just trying to take things from the church. We're gathering so that we might scatter. So that's a big part of kind of the missional thinking, is understanding that God is a God who wants our devotion and our worship, but he is sending us to live incarnationally, basically Jesus in the flesh, where we are. And so that's the core of Forge, that's the core of missional thinking, that's the core of so many of these different books and ideas and speakers out there, is this whole idea that, no, we are sent by a sending God to be Jesus in these places, not only in the places that we call church, because hopefully we're all smart enough to know church is not a building, but people. Right. Let's assume that. Yeah. And it's making that come to life and fleshing that.
Yeah, well, and so many times I think we think of church in those terms, whether we intend to or not. I think most followers understand the idea that church is people, but the way we go about doing church is centered around a space. So often it is, and it's about when the church opens its doors. That's when we come together. That's when we do our thing, right? And it's not the things that are happening outside of that.
Well, I mean, so one thing that I didn't mention, talking about my story, and it connects to your story too, is you were a pastor at Thorngrove Christian Church for 2 or 3 years. And so even though my full-time gig is Three Rivers Collaborative, on the side, I'm also helping lead Thorngrove Christian Church right now, which was a church that's about ready to close its doors, et cetera, et cetera. And so we've made some movement there. But one of the biggest movements is helping them understand that church is not just what we do here on Sunday, but it's how we live in the community and how we are neighbors and how we live as sent people. And I think that some people will go, oh, what's made the difference, this or this? I go, I think it's getting us to understand that church is more than just what we do here together on this one day at this one time. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think for me, that became a very forming concept. I had, as a youth pastor at Boones Creek, I had thought about these things a lot. Really made big changes in my last 2 years of youth ministry. But you helped give some words to that and what that looked like, and then specifically transitioning out of church work into athletic work, that really opened up my eyes. So because I assume you know this, I've always told my teams, like, what we are is what the church is supposed to be, right? And we often have messed up. So I think for you, sports was a big deal.
Sure.
I mean, absolutely a big deal. You played basketball here at Johnson.
I did.
Yeah.
Long ago.
Tell me a little bit about that experience, and then we'll tie the two ideas together here.
Well, I grew up in Indiana, like I said, so basketball is in your blood. Those of you that didn't grow up there will have to explain that to you.
Yeah.
In fact, one of my brushes with greatness, I was 11 or 12 and playing ball at the boys club. And one day we came into practice, and our coach was a big donor to Indiana State University, which is where I grew up in Terre Haute. And he said, boys, we've got some guests today that's going to practice with us. And so 6'11" DeCarsta Webster, 6'8" Harry Morgan, and this kid that's new to the team this year, you might hear something about 6'9" Larry Bird. And so in walks Larry Bird. We're 11 and 12, and we're practicing boys club. And I drove the lane at one point, shot about a 10-footer, and he knocked that ball 6 courts over. Yeah. And so that's my brush with greatness. But
Larry Bird blocked your shot.
It's exactly
which is
right.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's like coming into the divinity of God all at the same time.
Yeah.
That greatness. So basketball's always been a part of my life. And so I was here at Johnson in the mid-'80s, graduated in '87. And so there was 3 or 4 years there were some really strong teams. In the mid-'80s, and then a lot of graduations. And I hadn't played yet. I hadn't even attempted to, but then when I was a junior, I decided to try to play. And there was a lot of transition that year. And so, I played my junior and senior year here, had a blast. We had some good teams. Yeah, we went to the Nationals both years. Yeah. Really good teams, some good players I got to play with. And, my junior year, no three-point line. My senior year, the three-point line came in. That's how long ago that was. Yeah. And so, but it was a wonderful time of community. It was a wonderful time being a part of a team. I look back on it with great memories.
Yeah. Well, and I've made that connection, I think, going through Forge and being part of Crossings early on, because what I saw specifically as I transitioned into my team is that a team setting, whether you come from a Christian church or a Christian college background or not, has a lot of just similarities to the world, because you're bringing. I mean, not like you can hide the world off of your team, right?
Yeah.
So it has so many similarities in that we had people from different backgrounds and the way that they did faith and the way that they lived out even the if they believed at all, right? It just was all over the map. We saw, and I think. For me, I think there were a couple of concepts that really jumped out from my time at Crossings that shaped this. So this idea of digging wells, not building fences, concept that you have been so big on over the years and have talked about so many times. And this idea of what community looks like and being ministers inside of your context. Can you kind of bring some of those concepts together for us and what those mean? Yeah.
So there's this psychological theory called bounded set versus centered set. And you can look that up, and it's a little deeper and theoretical, but it plays out practically in this thing that you mentioned about wells and not fences. So practically speaking, as I said, I grew up in Indiana, and everything was flat. And if hypothetically I had a bunch of sheep or cattle, and in this flat land that was mine, I wanted to keep my sheep in and other sheep out. I want to protect them, et cetera, you would build fences because it was flat. You could do that. So that way my animals would stay in and your animals would stay out. We know whose is whose, et cetera, et cetera. Well, if you go to Australia, if you go to England, I've been to rural parts of England and Scotland, there are sheep everywhere, but there aren't fences. So how do they maintain that keeping their sheep where they need to be, the belonging of the sheep? And what they say is that they dig wells, and they dig wells, and that the sheep will never wander too far away from that which gives them life. And so that, to me, can be applied to the church. The church is all about, in so many different ways, creating fences to keep your people in and other people out, to keep your people in and keep the world out, or to have fences up so you've got to do this and do this and do this, then you can be inside our fence. A practical ecclesiology for me is we want to be about wells and not fences, which means that we're going to dig a well so deep that we will never wander too far away from that which gives us life. We believe that is Jesus. We believe when Jesus talks about water that will never run out, our thirst will never overcome us, we believe that Jesus is that well. So we invite people to partake of that with as few fences, hopefully no fences, so people can simply come. Now, that gets messy, and that's messy community, that's messy church. but it's people buying into this whole idea that we just are inviting you to Jesus. And we think that that invitation to Jesus and partaking of the water that is Jesus is transformative.
Yeah.
It literally makes your life different and better. And if we do that together, that's amazing. And I think this is where it applies into sports too, and to coaching and being a part of a team. So I don't know who came up with this concept. Alan Hirsch has written a lot about it, but it's a Latin phrase called communitas. And communitas is this idea. So it's one thing to be in community together.
Yeah.
So like, oh yeah, these are my friends. I hang out with them. I'm in community with them. It's also one thing to be on mission together. Oh yeah, I work for this, or I'm a part of this team, and we're working for this.
Right.
But a communitas, it's a whole nother thing to be in community on mission together.
Right.
And that's what the athletic teams here are. That's what coaches are trying to lead to.
Right.
Is we've got this mission and we're in community. You can hang out and have a good time, cool. Or you can be only about the mission, cool. But what if we found a way to be in community where we're pursuing the same thing at the same time? That's communitas. That's transformative. That's a different way to look at being part of a church, being a part of a team, et cetera.
Yeah, and I think those two ideas, they kind of ran together as I became a basketball coach here, and because what I had found so often inside of the players who played for me was that many of them felt like they were on the outside of the church. Even kids that, this is a school that trained pastors. Most of them, a good chunk of them, were in like ministry-oriented programs academically, but for one reason or another felt on the outside. That was so hard, I think, when we were building our team and building our culture, was to do that. But the concept of this communitas, like this idea that one, no, you're not on the outside, but then also not only are you not on the outside, you can be a part of this thing that is actually impacting the world in a much deeper way.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to look at this. One of the things you and I have talked about a lot is there's a different way of looking at institutions, which Johnson is an institution, but the church is an institution, unfortunately, too.
Right.
And one way to look at that is it like a track team or is it like a football team?
Yeah.
And so a track team, great sport, et cetera, but you have your event, you train for your event on match day or meet day, you do your event, you get the score, it totals part of your team will win or lose. Okay, that's great. But the pole vaulters and the sprinters don't hang out together, they don't train together, they're not really part of the same mission. A football team has, a head coach, an OC, a line coach, a quarterback coach, a receivers coach. You also have a defensive coach. You have a defensive line, et cetera, et cetera. The coordinators, you have special teams, et cetera, et cetera. But there's one game plan. Yeah. And without each other, that's not going to happen. With track, you can totally suck at pole vault and not even have someone compete, and you can still win that meet. But in football, if you don't have special teams, you're not going to win.
Right.
And so the church and church staffs so often view it as, and sometimes they have to because they're so big, that it's just a track team. I'll worry about my thing, you worry about your thing, I'll worry about this thing. You spend your money, I'll spend my money. And it's very siloed and very institutional. But the churches that can work at this as a football team and go, we've got one game plan, we're doing this together, that's what you want to move towards. And I understand in an institution of this size, it's hard to be completely a football team, but I think you want to. And when athletes are part of a team, they see they're part of this overall vision of what this university stands for. That makes it more than, I'm just here to play sports. You're not here just to play sports. You're here a part of a bigger picture, a bigger story. What's the quote? We're all just a tree in a story of a forest.
Yeah.
And so a lot of trees make up a good forest.
Yeah.
And so, but if you look at an institution, if you look at it as a track team, no, I'm only going to be concerned about my tree.
Yeah.
There's something wrong about that, something that's not the way of Jesus. So to be in communitas, to be a part of a movement and not an institution, is to understand we're all in this thing together.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful place to transition into your book. You co-authored a book with Heather Gorman, a good friend of mine. This is my moment. I've been doing this the last week or two where I shout out someone in particular to find out if they listen to our podcast. I did that earlier to my dad. I mentioned at the top of the show, but he did not. reach out to me this week. So I'm going to see. We're going to test Heather and see if Heather reaches out and says anything. But yeah, you and Heather write this book together called Lunchroom Theology. Talk to us a little bit. What's at the heart of that book?
Yeah, at the heart of the book, Lunchroom Theology, is this whole idea. Is it possible that our world is just one big high school lunchroom?
Yeah.
And so when we ask that question, a lot of images come up, bad, sometimes good, of what high school lunchrooms were like.
Yeah.
And every teen movie made in the last 20 years or 50 years, from Breakfast Club to Mean Girls to whatever, all have to do something with a lunchroom in some way. And I think the world is just one big high school lunchroom, because in a high school lunchroom, everybody sits at their own table, divided by whatever causes them to be divided. All the different names of the, you got the band kids, you've got the sports teams, you've got the cool kids, you've got the ones who smoke outside with, they bring their lunch because they're not going to buy from the man. And so, but you have all these different divisions in a lunchroom. That is our world.
Yeah.
And what I see in our world now more than any time in my lifetime, I see everybody sitting at their own table and refusing to even consider the other people at the other table, and to the point of dehumanizing those people at those other tables for what they believe, what they do, et cetera, et cetera. That is not the way of Jesus. The way of Jesus is to push tables together, not to keep them apart.
Yeah.
The way of Jesus, in John 17, he prayed that his followers would be one so that the world might believe. Okay, think about that for a second. If he prayed that the followers be one so the world might believe, if that happens and that's true, then the opposite of that would be true too. If they are not one, then the world will not believe. That makes that pretty high stakes for us.
Yeah.
And so when he prays for a oneness with the Father that we are to have, but a oneness with each other too. And so what we did in this book was just explore this whole topic of what would it mean to follow Jesus in the radical ways of pushing tables together instead of keeping them apart. And we do a bunch of sociological studies. We do a bunch of theological studies. Heather is, a New Testament expert, Dr. Heather Gorman, and who teaches at Abilene Christian University, and she's just an absolute genius. And so for us to take this book and deal with these deep issues and then make them practical too, and go, can we actually change? Yeah. Is it possible to really change? If you're a Ted Lasso fan, Roy Kent, and I'll refrain from Roy's normal language, and Roy asked the question, I think it was in the last episode of that, can people really change?
Yeah.
We think they can. Sometimes it's slower than others, but we think we can understand what it means to push the tables together and follow in the radical ways of Jesus. And without it, we're going to continue to feel broken and divided and mournful over what we've become as a society and as a culture.
Yeah, and I think for me, again, this book, I've gone through it twice now. Like, it has really resonated with me in a sense of, like, it just reminded me so much of as my time as a coach. Like, it just did. And what I think at the opening, you explained this concept, and you did a little bit just then too. But the idea that you have your jocks at this table and your band kids at this table and whatever about, but obviously in athletics you reference like the jocks, but inside of that there are even more segments.
Absolutely.
They break down even more.
Absolutely.
And I remember there's one powerful moment that just has always stood out. There's several that have always stood out, but one in particular I kind of accidentally set up on my team where we got into a debate over gun control. And it was right after a mass shooting had happened, and we have one player on our team who comes from the inner city, who has watched family members die at the hands of guns. And I have another player from the country whose family celebrates Thanksgiving every year by shooting guns.
Sure.
That's just what they did. And now all of a sudden these two worlds like come together, and it was this conflict that developed almost to the point of like a real fight, if I'm being honest. But the beauty of what the church should be, and this is what happened with these two guys, is we should be able to break down that wall, right? To be able to live in our difference and still come out. Those two guys, as much as they fought that day and had so many differences, they ended up being assistant coaches on the same high school staff together. Right after that, they loved each other. And I don't know. I just, this is why I think we talk about athletics as what the church should be, is because you have the ability to find sameness, right? Here's what we have in common, not what we have different.
Yeah.
And too much of the world does that.
Yeah. Yeah. Two things on that. I mean, one, I think that's your viewpoint on that, and your practicing of that is what makes you different in your role than most people I know who have your role. You come as a pastor.
Sure.
I know you're the AD. I know you've been the coach. I get it. But you're loving these folks as pastors, helping them see there's a bigger picture here, and realizing this is not just about wins and losses. It's not just about this. We want to win. We want to compete.
Absolutely.
All of that stuff. We want to be excellent at that. But there's so much more to that. And so the heart of that is huge. And that comes out in how you lead your staff, how you coach teams, et cetera, et cetera. So that's an amazing piece. And that allows communitas to happen. Whereas all we're going to do is fight for this and fight for this, that does not allow communitas to happen. So you're pushing the tables together with that. And the second thing is just simply learning to live in the tension that we're not all going to agree. Yeah. I mean, the world looks at the church and goes, wait a minute, that's a town of 10,000 people and they have 12 churches? Why?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we can't agree.
Yeah.
So if you all can't agree, why would I agree with you? I want nothing to do with that Jesus. That's not the Jesus I read in scriptures. We have to find a way to practice, to learn to value each other differently. You know, it's that bottom line of we are created in the image of God. And when we don't see each other as created in the image of God, we devalue the image of God. And what we have done is covered it up. We have buried it. We have put our foot on the neck of the oppressed, and we've said no, because you're different than me and I disagree with you, and politically you're this way, or you're this way ethnically or racially, you're going to be over here and I'm going to be over here. That's taking the image of God, it's covering up, it's burying it. Look, Jesus followers, at some point we've got to go, you know what, I am called, I am sent to uncover that image of God that is there. Yeah. And I have a responsibility to value that and to fight for it, and to keep pushing these tables together. That's what we're going to do. And so with Lunchroom, you know, by the way, we're releasing a conversation guide.
Okay.
I think in the next 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, for free. It's just a PDF, but you can take that alongside because we think the book should be read in community. Yeah. To go, how do we live together in the tension? Get together people you don't like. Get together people you don't agree with.
Absolutely.
And let's push our tables together. Let's read this, discuss it together. See where we want to go. And we realize there's not going to be this grand world revolution where suddenly everybody's going to change, but we think we can click people towards that to get a little bit closer, to what God intended it to be, which is the life that we're living, is we want to pursue the way it was intended to be. That's the story that we are part of. As we are individual trees in the story of a forest, that's the story that we are to live together. Yeah.
Well, and I think I want to tie the two concepts, you know, this idea where we started at talking about forge and context and what that means, and now you're into lunchroom theology. I think the concepts are very similar in what is happening here, because I think that's what happened for me, was the realization that my context, first off, it changed. It changed drastically from working for the church to working in this basketball space at the time. But all of a sudden, we're in this new context, and I don't know. It was something that really unique there, because I think when we deal with the church in particular, right, we all center around this one idea, right? We are here for Jesus, for the mission, and that's it. And then all of us come at that from different perspectives, and that creates tension to some degree, right? When we bring a team together, and that is the context that we're serving in, our mission isn't necessarily Jesus. It just isn't. It's about winning the next game, right? And just getting a little bit better and a little bit better. And then when we insert intentionally the sovereignty of Jesus, I think it creates something unique there, and you can be very intentional with a group of people, and all of a sudden now, I don't know, our differences didn't matter as much because we had to get over them. I mean, it's so sad that we don't have to get over them in the church. We just live in them. But on a team, like you have to, and I think that's, the idea of ministering to all people. Not that you are just a vocational pastor, but you can be a minister, whatever context you're in, can be powerful.
Yeah. So an example of that, I think, is, and some may disagree with that, but I'm okay to be disagreed with. I used to coach soccer, my boys,
Yeah.
youth soccer for, 10, 12 years, something like that. And I lived in this little town in Indiana while I was doing that when I was up at Purdue. And I didn't want them to know that I was a pastor because they always treated me differently. They would, oh, sorry, can't say that word around you, or oh, I don't go to church. I don't, And once they found out, we go on team trips or something. I was like, well, we're going to go here and do this, and we know you don't want to do that. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
And so,
all of a sudden, you have the plague.
yeah. And so I would coach, and one particular thing is I'd never let them know. And there was this one team I was coaching, and my wife was over on the sidelines. My wife never watched the game. She just talked to people.
Right.
She's yet to watch a game. And
Yeah.
they've been married 30 years.
Mine too, probably.
And so somebody would say, so what does your husband do? Well, he works at Purdue. Okay. Now, some people would leave it there. Well, what's he do at Purdue? Well, he works with students. Okay, but what's he do? Well, he teaches and counsels. Oh, so he's a professor? No, he's not a professor. What's he do? Well, he works at this place called the CMC. And it's like, oh. And some people will leave it there. Well, what's the CMC? Well, it's this. It's called it's the Christian Ministry Center. Oh, what is that? All right, he's a pastor. Like, what? And the best response to that, though, I'll never forget. Her name was Kelly. I was coaching her boy Evan for years, and didn't have a dad in the home, etc. And Kelly found that out. He goes, oh, he's a pastor. Oh, it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
Because for her, the way I treated her son had something to do with how I felt about Jesus.
Huh.
And for her to find that out, if they find I'm a pastor first, well, you're just treating my kid that way because you're a pastor. No. I'm going to treat people that way because I love Jesus. You find that out later, you go, oh, that you treat him differently than other coaches. Why is that? That's really what she was asking. And so again, sometimes people are going to know we're followers of Jesus and sometimes not. But I'd rather them see me incarnate the living Christ before they understand that I'm paid to be a pastor.
Yeah.
That's so much more powerful in people's lives, I think.
Yeah. If you could give one takeaway obviously the purpose of this program is we try to connect to alumni, but we're also trying to connect to our own students a little bit to help them understand what we're about a little bit better, but then future athletes as well. So if you could give student athletes one takeaway about living their faith through sports, what would it be?
Ooh.
That's a big question, I know.
Yeah, it is. And there's a couple of angles on it. I value the fact that you get to play.
Yeah.
For one thing, I'm getting old. My knee is almost as bad as yours now,
Yeah.
Brandon. And
Yeah.
but I'm still playing basketball here in the morning.
December 5th, knee replacement.
Yes.
I'm on my comeback to the basketball
There we
days.
go. All right.
We'll see.
Still playing tennis. I'm doing those things. I'm hiking. And I've tried to explain to people why this is so important to me. I said, play is spiritual formation for me.
Yeah.
I am spiritually formed by this. You can't devalue the chance you have to participate and play in something like this. There's a ton of depth to that. And then I think the other practical advice would be understand that you're part of something bigger. That you're not just part of this team for this game, for this sport. There's something bigger going on here. And that when you're a part of a team, you're part of some type of kingdom of God movement. And you go, well, I don't see anything. Well, you know what? Jesus said it's as small as mustard seed. The smallest thing he could think of, in my opinion. He said it's as small as that, and it grows into something. So again, your story of a tree and a story of a forest, there's so much more going on here than you understand. There's so much more in your own life and what you will gain from being part of a team, being a part of a culture, learning from the coach and the leader that is coaching you. There's so much, if it is a spiritual formation, a form of spiritual formation, which I believe it is, holistically, there's so much more. And just to understand how to function in life and And we know teams are microcosms of society itself.
Yeah.
This is going to happen, and bad things are going to happen, and there are going to be injuries and all this. You learn to deal with that. Yes, all that's very practical. You'll do that. But it is the small piece that you are a part of as part of this is so much. There's so much more to it. It's a bigger thing, and it has to do with the kingdom, why Jesus came, and it has to do with following him in a radical way.
Yeah. Before we go, I do. You mentioned this earlier. Our paths, they touch in 2013 at Crossings. I transitioned into Thorngrove Christian Church as the pastor as my son was on the way. We were in a fundraise position back then, and I struggled so much to fundraise. And now all I do for the most part is fundraise. It's so weird how life
I'm
works.
glad I could teach you how to do it.
So it is the thing that keeps me up at night these days, but that's okay. But now we kind of like reverse roles, right? And you end up at Thorn Grove, and I am assuming, because I know that community well, several of them are going to be will listen to this at some point. So touch on that just a little bit. Like, what has that experience been like for you now after doing ministry for 7 years to transition into this role at Thorn Grove?
Yeah. Well, like I said, my full-time job is here with Three Rivers Collaborative.
Right.
And so I'm quarter time at Thorn Grove. And so it's a unique thing. The experience for me, and I've said this a lot over the last 6 months, I love doing youth ministry. Loved it at Farragut. Loved campus ministry. Great thing.
Yeah.
Planning a church. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like ministry-wise, I'm like, I can't imagine anything better. But for Thorn Grove, I'm having more fun doing ministry than I've ever had before. Yeah. Those were fun. So don't hear what I'm not saying. But yeah, it's amazing to see something that was about ready to close its doors do something more. And I think what I have seen there, and what I would encourage folks to think through, especially if you're part of a church and you go, I don't know where this church is going to go, et cetera, is people go, what made the difference at Thorn Grove? Why is it so much fun? And why is it this? I said, well, there was a level of desperation in the people that I've not seen other than a few places in my life. And that desperation allowed them to go, okay, what do we do to follow Jesus so that this community that is the church continues to be? And it's like the story of the paralytic in the Gospels, where these four friends who had this friend who was paralyzed, I assume most of his life, had been trying to get him healed. And eventually they go, Jesus is in town, we're going to get him there. So they pick him up and they carry him to this place where they hear that this Jesus who heals people is there. They get there and there's no place to go. Every window, every doorway, everything is full, and they can't get close to Jesus, but they're so desperate to get their friend healed. They're so desperate that they're willing to go to the roof, dig a hole in it, and come up with some freakishly weird pulley system and lower that man down. And Jesus goes, it's their faith that healed you. He didn't say to the paralyzed man who he healed, he didn't say it was your faith. He says it's their faith. Yeah. Those four faces looking up through the hole in the roof that they had just lowered their friend down, because they were so desperate to get their friend healed, they would have done anything.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes Thorn Grove so fun. I work with a lot of churches that do not have that desperation.
Oh,
I don't
absolutely.
know if their doors are going to stay open or not. And there's something about that. And the faithfulness of those folks, the
They're
loving
an amazing
nature.
Community.
They welcome everybody.
Yes.
Oh, it's been wonderful. And it's great joy. I mean, and it's really fun to be able to minister alongside Maddie Yoder Tate and Kaylin Orahood are on staff, and Riley Stansberry. They're all part of the team that is there. We're all very, very quarter time. But we love what we get to do because we love those people who love Jesus so much, and we just get to do life alongside them.
Yeah. It's an amazing place, special place for sure. It's always mattered so much to me. Honestly, this role doesn't take place without Thorn Grove. I think going through that was interesting. I just wanted to touch on those guys because I think they've meant so much to both of us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Continue to be so.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So, well, last thing, tell us where can people find your book and well,
Lunchroom Theology.
Yep.
And also, I wrote another book called Reformation, which
Yep.
is with Alan Hirsch. Both of those are on Amazon or wherever
Yeah.
you want to find it. Actually, Lunchroom Theology, if you go to lunchroomtheology.com too, you can get the first chapter for free.
Yep.
You can download that there. That also links to our Three Rivers Collaborative website. And so, and if you're interested in the conversation guide that we're going to have for the book, we're going to be promoting that soon. I'm sure we would put that on the website, but it's not up there yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would, and we'd love to hear from folks that are reading it, especially reading in community and hearing what's going on. And
Absolutely.
yeah, we'd love for people to engage it.
Absolutely. And if you're out there and you're a coach who's listening in on this, or someone who just cares deeply about athletics, I would highly recommend Lunchroom Theology, just because, again, it's not about sports, but the concepts that are happening inside of sports are all over this, right? And how do we do it differently? So would love for you to check that out.
It's an easy read.
Yes.
Reformation is a tougher read.
Yeah.
I will tell you that. But
Yeah.
Lunchroom Theology, and it's on Audible, and Heather and I read it, so you can have our voices in
I
your
know.
head.
That's how I did it. That's how I consumed it. It was awesome to have two of my friends like coming through my speakers, my kids in the back saying, "Hey, is that Mr. Mark? Is that Heather?" Like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So I exposed them to my books occasionally.
That's good.
So
That's good.
sometimes,
This one's
sometimes
okay.
maybe not.
This one's okay.
So, well, Mark, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
And we'll be right back. Well, we're back, and I got those stats after my costume change on our volleyball team and some of our leaders. Let me go through at least a couple of them. Abby Brown actually is leading the conference with kills. She has 351 in 25 games played. The next closest person had 26 games played and 264 kills. So she is definitely ahead in
A little bit.
that category right now. Araya Gurley actually with 1.14 blocks per game. She is second in the conference. Marissa McMahon, sitting at 471 digs on the year, is leading the conference in that category as well. So several of the Royals on the leaderboard when it comes down to the overall stats for volleyball. So
Yeah.
pretty exciting.
Yeah,
That's
it
great.
is exciting.
All right. These are the things we got coming up this week with the Royals. Take it away, guys.
All right. So first, this Saturday coming up, we have our senior day for both our men and women's soccer team. The women play at 2, the men play at 4. We're really excited to celebrate them and, especially highlight those seniors that have played and had a great season. And yeah, so we're excited about that. Hoping for a good turnout. Weather's supposed to be beautiful, so I think it'll be a great day to watch some soccer.
Yeah. Before we welcome Columbia here for Senior Day, our volleyball team on Friday is actually going to Columbia to play them in an away match.
I was very confused when I looked on the schedule at this one, by the
Yeah.
way. Just don't know. Did we get this right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, so we go there and then we welcome them Saturday, and then also on Friday our cross country team is going down for one of their last meets of the fall. They're going down to Chattanooga for that, so should be an exciting weekend
Yeah.
for Royal sports fans.
Absolutely. As we wrap up, a couple of thank yous. Thank you first to Mark Nelson for being on the show. It's always great to talk to Mark, and that was a lot of fun for me. I hope that's something we can do from time to time, is bringing some other people in. Also, next week, just so that you know, I'm pretty sure, I need to double confirm this, but Daniel Overdorf, our president, will be here on the show next week. And then we will move in to our basketball reviews. And then last, I want to just throw out a special thank you to Little Man Lemon Shakeups, who came out to our game against Truett on Saturday, stayed the whole day through the tri-match, plus there's a tennis match going on. Little Man has become like the official lemonade provider of the Johnson Royals.
He really has.
Yeah,
People
actually,
love
if you're out there and you are looking for someone for your events, to make something special, for sure, Little Man Lemon Shakeup, somebody you should check out. They've got all kinds of varieties and just do a great job of making any event special. So they've really gone above and beyond for the Royals this year, and we are so blessed to be partnered with them. So I think that's going to do it for us today. You guys got anything else?
I think we're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
All right. It was a great show over 2 days, but it was a great show. So thanks for checking out the Royal Insider. Until next time.